Shrek, an animated film suitable for viewers of all ages, was honored with the Best Animated Film Award in 2001. Today, we are excited to provide a comprehensive summary of the movie, taking you through its storyline from start to finish. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Shrek lives in a swamp far from all people in the morning. He likes to take a mud bath and also fish in that swamp. In his free time, he likes to read fairy tales. As we know from fairy tales, the princess waits for her prince. The story should have a happy ending, but our hero does not particularly like that. One day, in a village not far from that swamp, the villagers decided to attack Shrek and arrest him in order to obtain a reward. They grab torches and head to the place. The villagers arrive at Shrek's house for the night. Shrek hears them and sneaks up behind them, scares them, and tells them what he can do to them. Then he roars, and they all run away in fear of him. Shrek sees a sticker on the ground written as a reward for imaginary creatures. He throws it on the ground. At the other end of the forest, something strange is happening. There were a lot of strange creatures, as it turned out that people were hunting them and locking them in cages on the orders of Lord Farquaad and sending them to distant lands, where the guards paid money for every creature they caught. So one of the women decided to bring her talking donkey in order to get some profit. The donkey realized what was happening and decided to remain silent. The lady was unable to make the donkey talk, and while the lady and the knights were trying to pull the donkey, suddenly a magic jar of magic pills fell on the donkey. So the donkey flew in the air and spoke while flying away. But the happiness did not last long, because the effect of those pills ended very quickly, and the donkey fell to the ground. The knights try to catch him, but he quickly escapes into the forest. During his escape, while running recklessly quickly, he collides with Shrek, and at that moment, an acquaintance occurs between them. The knights approach, and the donkey hides behind Shrek. The leader of the guards begins to say that Lord Farquaad has authorized them to arrest them and take them to a designated facility. Shrek says, "Oh really? You and any army will arrest me." The leader of the guards begins to look back and finds himself alone, and that the knights have fled. He also escapes. When the donkey realized that he could have a friend, but as we remember, the green monster is alone and does not need anyone else. The donkey begins to tell Shrek that he wants to stay with him, but Shrek scares him to keep him away. But the donkey didn't care and asked him what his name was, so he answered and told him that it was Shrek. Shrek allowed the donkey to stay in his house, but the poor donkey's happiness did not last long because Shrek kicked him out. Shrek sat in his house and started eating dinner while the donkey was looking at him from the window outside. But suddenly he heard strange noises. While he was checking where the sounds were coming from, he was surprised by the presence of many different imaginary creatures in the swamp that came here on the orders of Lord Farquaad. Shrek did not like what was happening and tried to keep them away from the swamp, but to no avail. Pinocchio tells Shrek that Lord Farquaad expelled them and put them in this swamp. The donkey told Shrek that he knew where Lord Farquaad was, and Shrek announced that their presence here had ended and that he would see Lord Farquaad so that he could get them all out of his swamp. He takes Shrek the donkey as a companion with him to show him where Farquaad is. Meanwhile, Lord Farquaad is interrogating a spice man called Gingy. He has brought a magic mirror that shows princesses from other kingdoms, and the Lord Farquaad chooses Princess Fiona, and that mirror tells the Lord that this princess is imprisoned in a castle. It is guarded by a ferocious dragon, but the Lord is determined to find her and marry her. The mirror tries to tell Lord Farquaad something, but he does not listen to her. Lord Farquaad announces a competition that night, and in order to win, you must search for the princess and fight against a ferocious dragon. Meanwhile, Shrek and the donkey arrived at the castle, but it turned out to be empty because all the residents were in the competition. They quickly found their way and arrived at the competition. They were not welcomed with open arms, as Shrek began fighting against the knights present in the competition, and our friend Shrek was able to win the fight. Lord Farquaad was surprised by Shrek's strength and decided to change his plans by having Shrek go to rescue Princess Fiona and bring her to the castle. In exchange for Shrek regaining his swamp and transporting these imaginary creatures to another place and returning to his old life, Shrek agreed to this deal. Shrek and the donkey set out through the forests and fields, and a conversation takes place between them, where Shrek tries to explain that he is not so bad and that people do not give him a chance to show them his other side. In the evening, Shrek and the donkey reached the end of the road, but they were surprised by a lake of lava and a bridge separating them from the castle. There is no choice in front of them, and they have to move forward. And while the donkey was afraid of heights and lava, Shrek continued to push the donkey to the other side and continued his journey to the castle. Finally, they arrived at the castle, and Shrek wore the protective armor left by the knights who tried to save the princess before. All he has to do is find the princess and fight the dragon, but the dragon found them first. He tried to get rid of Shrek and the donkey. Shrek grabbed the dragon's tail, but the dragon threw Shrek up the tower where Princess Fiona was imprisoned. As Shrek regained his strength, he found Princess Fiona lying on the bed waiting for him to kiss her, but things went differently. Instead of kissing her, he shook her forcefully. Meanwhile, the dragon surrounded the donkey, and he found himself on the edge of the abyss. Not knowing what to do, the donkey used his magic to talk to the dragon, and it turned out that she was a female dragon looking for love and friendship, and she was not evil. While the dragon was hugging the donkey, Shrek Shrek grabbed his chain and put it around the dragon's neck, and they all started to run away from the dragon. After that, Fiona desperately wanted to know who the man who saved her was, but suddenly it became clear to her that the man in front of her was not a man at all. When Shrek takes off his helmet, the princess realizes that she does not want to kiss him and does not mind returning to the castle. The princess tells him that she will return to the castle and will not go with him and will wait for another man to come to save her. But Shrek does not like this idea very much because he still has a lot of things to do and he needs to regain his swamp. He captures Princess Fiona by force and throwing it on his shoulders. Our hero sets out on a journey to Lord Farquaad's castle. The road is not close, so it takes several days to reach the castle. Fiona is very afraid of the dark, so she asks Shrek and the donkey to find a secluded place to spend the night. Shrek finds a suitable cave for her. Shrek sits, and the donkey is at the edge of the cave. Meanwhile, Fiona cannot sleep and overhears their conversation and realizes that Shrek is not as terrible as she thought at first. As dawn broke, Fiona decided to cook some food for her rescuers, and then they would continue their journey. But during that time, something unexpected happened, where they met new people and decided to save the princess from the hands of Shrek. Fiona did not like this and decided not to go with them and began to attack them alone and overcome them. Shrek and the donkey felt a lot of amazement and the transformation that the princess did, and Shrek did not notice that he was hit by an arrow during their fight. Fiona sent the donkey into the forest to search for the blue flower, which it wasn't really there, but somehow the donkey found it. Upon his return, he saw a very romantic scene where Fiona and Shrek were embracing, even though Shrek denied it. After that, the donkey distracts Shrek, so the princess was able to pull the arrow from Shrek, and the journey continues, and the sunset comes again. Fiona suggests that they stop and get some rest. Shrek then realizes that he has feelings for Princess Fiona and decides to tell her about them during the night. The donkey visits the hut where the princess is, but suddenly he meets a large green monster. He believes that he ate Princess Fiona. He soon realizes that she is the same princess who turned into a green monster during the night. Fiona tells her story and that there is a spell on her that can only be broken with a kiss of love. Meanwhile, we see Shrek behind the door. When the princess starts saying that she cannot love such a monster, he thinks it's about him and becomes very upset. Meanwhile, he goes to the castle to bring Lord Farquaad and hand over the princess, and Fiona decides to tell the truth about the curse that is upon her. But the sun rises and she turns into a beautiful princess. Shrek and Lord Farquaad come with the guards. The princess gets angry with Shrek because he did that and did not listen to her in order for her to confess her story. Princess Fiona decides that her wedding will take place before sunset and before the curse returns. After that, Shrek goes to his swamp, kicks out the donkey, and continues to live alone. He misses Fiona as much as she misses him, and the donkey is also very sad, even though he meets an old friend. After that, the donkey decides to go to Shrek and tell him the truth about the princess. They start flying on the dragon's back at the right time. Shrek storms the party and asks the princess not to marry Lord Farquaad because he wants to marry you in order to become king, and that it is not true love. Fiona looks at the sunset and remembers her spell. She walks to the window and tells Shrek that she wanted to show this and began to transform, which makes Lord Farquaad very angry. But our hero Shrek loves her very much and kisses her, and then the spell is lifted from the princess. But she realizes that nothing is happening and that she will remain a green monster. Shrek comforts her and tells her that she is still beautiful, and they go to live in the swamp. And from this moment, Shrek will never be alone again. What a happy and beautiful ending. Write to us in the comments what you think of this cartoon and tell us if you want a second part. Well, we're done.